Welcome back to Garden on the Moors. Today we are in Cyprus, the beautiful island of Cyprus. It's November, so a bit of an unusual time of year perhaps, but it's a really great time of year for finding autumn flowering, mainly bulbs, but autumn flowers. So we're going to take a look for some, and yeah, it's a lovely time of year to do it because obviously everything at home is dying off. So let's go take a look around. So we're back on one of my favourite walks in Cyprus. Obviously it's now November rather than spring when we were here last time, and that means that we can find some autumnal flowers. And we've just found our very first one. It's this beautiful Narcissus obsoletus. It's very, very tiny and delicate, but absolutely beautiful, like a little jewel in all this dried, parched out vegetation. What they do is they spend all summer hiding away, and then in the first rains of autumn, that's what kicks them into action, and then they will shoot up, have their little flower because there's no competition. They've got the pick of the pollinators basically, and then they'll have their leaves afterwards. But they're absolutely beautiful. They're so tiny, and they look absolutely gorgeous being backlit by this nice winter sun. So really, really pleased we found these. Speaking of autumn flowering plants, we have just found, depending on your viewpoint, either the last orchid of the year, or I suppose here, the first orchid of the season. And it's these beautiful, delicate, now I think they're autumn ladies tresses, but it'd be good, I'll just double check that when I get home, when I get to look them through in a book. But absolutely beautiful, this tiny little rosette of leaves down here, this lovely stem, and then the orchid flowers spiraling around the stem. They're absolutely gorgeous, so really happy to have found them. They're in the shade of this pine and juniper forest. Again, the ground is bone dry, but yeah, what a great find. There's also quite a lot of them as well, so we've got this little small group here, and then just behind me loads more as well, maybe another 10-15 different flowering plants. So really great spot. Now, I'm not sure on this little fella. It looks to me like a very tiny figwort. It's just a few inches tall, but it's got those little figwort flowers. Again, no leaves. It's set up as flower spike with no leaves, but one for us to look at when we get home. Well, it's now time for a bit of colour, which is nice to see. We've got this beautiful, tiny little pink flower down here. There's one here, a larger one over there, and a few more dotted around this whole area. I think that these are autumn squill. We get them in Cornwall on the coastline, so it's a bit odd to see them here, but I guess it's a pretty similar environment, dry and exposed. But yeah, lovely to see a bit of colour because it's so grey around here and things like that, and brown. But yeah, absolutely beautiful little flower. Well, we've come further up the mountainside and we found our next flower. Again, it's a nice colourful one. This is Muscari Grape, so an autumn flowering grape hyacinth. It's pretty similar looking to the squill, except that the pollen in there is very different. The squill had big black anthers, whereas these little Muscari don't. They're very tiny in the bell of the flower. And they're also, the petals aren't split up either, they're closed together. But they are very similar to the sort of Muscari that we plant at home. I planted baby's breath, a really pale blue, baby blue, which is gorgeous. But these are wild in their native habitat. So yeah, what a treat to find. Again, so many really cool flowers. Once you get your eye in, we're seeing heaps of different stuff, so really exciting. Well, just like last time, we've managed to find some wild cyclamens. They're absolutely beautiful. They've got this lovely, incredibly pale pink petals pointing backwards, and then dark spots right in the very front of the flower. Absolutely gorgeous. They're so delicate. No leaves, so that is quite interesting because last time we saw them, they had their big, really big round leaves on show, but not here at the minute. We'll have to check which species of cyclamen they are again when we get back home. We can do a bit of research, but I'll put a link, I'll put the proper name underneath. But they're just gorgeous, aren't they? So beautiful. Well, it's the next day and we've come into the hills and we have just found this beautiful patch of cyclamen. I think they might be a different kind to the ones that we saw yesterday. Their leaves are much more narrow and pointed, but they're still just as beautiful. Their flowers are that gorgeous pale pink with that lovely blush to the bottom of them. And they're just growing within this leaf litter. It's quite mossy here. There's lots of moisture from a nearby waterfall. So yeah, fab, what a great find. So we're in a gorge now in Cyprus, and back at home we have a bird called a tree creeper, which is a little brown bird, scurries up and down the tree trunks looking for insects, things like that. It looks a little bit like a mouse when he's scurrying around, and they're really, really cute, but they're quite hard to see. Well, here we have a cliff equivalent, so it's called a Wallcreeper, and it looks just like it in terms of like shape and size, but it's absolutely beautiful in its colouring. It's grey on top, a black body, and then it has these big broad wings with scarlet feathering all over it. Absolutely beautiful, and it acts more like a butterfly fluttering up the cliffs. So there's just one up here, which is brilliant. Just behind me is an incredibly rare endemic species called Centaurea avocamus. Beautiful. This special knapweed is only found in the northwest of Cyprus, so we're really pleased to have found it. So we found the Wallcreeper earlier in the week, and we're now at another different spot, and we've got a different kind of mountain bird that likes to spend its winters in Cyprus. We have a Finch's wheatear. So they act a bit like our wheatears at home, you know, jumping and flitting around the rocks looking for insects and things, but this is a lovely pure black and white bird with buffy head down its nape and pure white all the way down its back. It's a lovely bird to see. I have never seen one before. They breed in Turkey and will come down to overwinter in Cyprus and this type of area. But I can just now see him at the top of the cliffs here, jumping around, and he's so obvious to see because he's bright white and black against this beautiful, I would guess some sort of sandstone, but really gorgeous cliffs as well we have. Well, there we are. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give a big like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers!